You are listening to the Mary Jane Society podcast, where you will meet entrepreneurs, cultivators, scientists, doctors, and inventors in the cannabis industry.
I'm your host, Pam Schmiel, marketer and publicist in the cannabis industry. From a long career in the music industry as a recording rap artist, audio engineer, and marketing agency owner, Gary George stepped into the cannabis industry when his son asked for help applying for a New Jersey dispensary license. He ended up consulting and writing applications for other social equity entrepreneurs and even launched a yearly conference to support their business growth called the Real Cannabis Entrepreneur. It's a 2-day business boot camp and will have its 5th show in Newark, New Jersey this October 4th and 5th. Gary knows the New Jersey cannabis industry inside and out and shares hot tips on how to navigate the marketplace. Listen in.
What's up? Let me turn my camera on. Hold on. Am I here? Yes. I'm
Oh,
here.
you got your whole space there.
Yeah. Smoke machines. We got it all. Glow boxes and all kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, it looks great. It looks
Yes.
great.
So I keep the brand now. I just keep it here permanently. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It seems like you have a really nice family, honestly. When I stopped by your show last year, the Real Cannabis Entrepreneur Conference, and you just brought your wife on. I know she's very involved. It just seems like a great family thing you're doing there. So
Yeah, we've always been family oriented, family business, because I've been an entrepreneur since birth. So my kids know it, and everybody else, they've been born and raised. They're the same way. They're all entrepreneurs now. They're all moving into space, doing their thing.
Can you just give us an overview of what's happening in New Jersey? Like, what's the state of New Jersey? And as far as, applications that are being processed now, have they stopped it? And also, is New Jersey a limited license state? I'm not sure about that.
Nope.
No. Okay.
Oh, yes, it is. I'm sorry. Yes, limited license state. Okay. Yes.
And what's their stance on social equity? And I know this is really how you got into it. Is now you're serendipitously, by helping out your son, first of all,
right,
to go for a license, and now you're helping a bunch of other entrepreneurs. And now you're becoming kind of the face of social equity entrepreneurship. I feel like in New Jersey, that's how I viewed you before we, So anyway, if you could give us where are we with New Jersey and
Yes.
Equity. Sorry, long
way. Yeah, no problem. Where we are in New Jersey and what we're getting into now and the current status of the cannabis market, right? Right now, we've been going for 2+ years, right? Just getting everybody going over the past year. Everyone's been going through the licensing process to get their conditionals, now moving towards what was called the annual conversion. That's when you can actually open the doors. So we had over 700 applications that went in for those conditional licenses. There's only 400 towns in New Jersey. Only half of them opted in. So that's like 200 towns. We got 700 applicants. Out of those 700, they got to whittle them down and see who goes through from there. And that's where we're at now. And we have I think there's 47 retail dispensaries open in New Jersey, recreational retail dispensaries. About 13 of those were the medical guys who flipped the rec, and then now those independents are now there. So we are beating New York now. We are beating New York. New York was killing us at one point, and I was like, man, New York is going to really beat us. And the New York did beat Jersey. They did in terms of launching first and getting the first one out of the gate. But New Jersey's coming back up. We're battling it as New York and Jersey always does, right, to get the money. And we're coming back in a little bit. So now our numbers are a little over top of New York or what they're doing. I think New York has like 20-something.
Yeah, I think we're 20-something, yeah.
Yeah. So that's where we are in New Jersey. I mean, we're running out of slots. The municipalities only have a select number of slots for every individual to operate. They may say it's only going to be 2 retail, 2 cultivation, 2 whatever. And we're at the point now where a lot of those slots are filled. Those people, they've been allocated. That means no one else has anywhere to go until those other towns opt in. So that's where we are in New Jersey. It's a very critical state in cannabis business. Yeah.
So out of 700 applicants. Has anyone been approved? And there, I mean, I don't know if you would know this, but I know there's only 47 open, but would there be any others that are kind of in the pipeline that have
Yeah.
already been approved?
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of them that have their annual licenses approved, but then you still have to wait for the state inspector to come out. You got to go through the architect, the site plan, the this, the that, all these other things before you can get all the way open. So everyone's kind of there right now waiting for those last steps so they can get it open.
And how has New Jersey been with social equity entrepreneurs?
Social equity,
Are they are they supporting? Are they pushing? Are they giving
I
anyone a
mean,
jump start?
yeah, they have been helping in terms of like, helping a few out with lesser fees and things like that. That's about all that they gave to social equity. I'm a proponent that, yeah, social equity is good. They should give those negatively impacted by the war on drugs, particularly Black people who have been negatively impacted and all the other things that we've been through and still locked up to this day. We should get some type of some consolation prize. But the consolation prize that New Jersey gave us wasn't quite what we were all looking for. They pretty much just said, hey, guys, initially they said, hey, social equity, guys, if you're social equity and you qualify, you've been negatively impacted, you are going to, they were saying you're going to get precedence in the beginning. And we all said, yay, okay, this is great. We're going to give the social equity guys some type of benefit. They didn't tell us what benefit, right? It was a news headline. And then after the benefit came out and we read the fine print in the reg docs, it said social equity, here's your benefit and your prize. Your prize is we will review your application first. That's what you get for us locking you up, still having you locked up, still having your people locked up. Guess what, guys? We're not going to do anything else for you. We're not going to give you no money. We're not even going to we'll just review it first. And I just looked at that and I kind of laughed.
A no interest loan or
nothing, no loan,
a low interest
no help.
Loan.
Right. No help, no business, nothing. Just said, we'll review your application before everyone else. You have priority status. Really, guys? It didn't matter at the end of the day because look how long we're all waiting. That priority meant nothing. It meant zero.
Right.
Yeah, that's my take on it.
Okay, out of the 47 open, are there any social equity entrepreneurs that made it through, like they said, like you guys get first,
The first social equity dispensary opened, and I was just talking to her yesterday, and I forgot her name, but it's a female. She just opened. She has the first social equity retail all recreational dispensary. It did open. There's one so far. Yep.
Okay.
One so far. One out of 40.
So far. 1 out of 47. Okay. And the market's been open. Were we open at the same time? 2 years? It's what has it been? Almost 2 years now?
No, New York came in later. New York came in about 8 months after Jersey did. That's why I said, man, if New York beats us and they came in almost a year after us.
Oh, that's what I thought. Okay. Yeah. I knew we were somewhere. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. I feel like the states, even if they don't do anything drastic to help social equity entrepreneurs, like, all right, don't give them a low business loan or whatever, but support their journey, handhold them, set up a program because most of the people, not even social equity entrepreneurs, but most entrepreneurs entering this industry right now are new entrepreneurs. There's going to be a lot of failure. You can't just go, oh, I want to go open a business. So I feel like the least that New Jersey could have done was set up some sort of business program.
Absolutely. Yeah. Something to give some support. And they wind up doing that after about a year later. There's NJB, I forget what it is. There's so many acronyms, but the business something. And Penny Wild, she runs that. They were at the conference last year. They have a whole program where they're training people, teaching people, and it's free services that they get for the entrepreneurs and stuff like that. So they did roll that out, which is cool. That's out there. But again, it's kind of late because we're a lot of those people didn't make it already. You know what I mean? And so they tried, but I think the timing was a little. But they did at least do that. And I think what other program did they have? They have the grant program out here as well, where they're doing, I forgot, a number of grants for a number of individual social equity applicants and things like that. So Jersey did put those things in place, but that was about it. Yes, and these are first-time entrepreneurs who really need some hand-holding. Yeah. I mean, I do agree that it's not the state's responsibility to make sure that you know what the hell you're doing in terms of business, but you do understand the rodeo that we're playing, and we're playing with some individuals who were negatively impacted and slighted in some way, those things should be also rectified when you're going to correct them. And the more corrective measures would be not priority review, like you said, would be something like, hey, give us some training, give us some grant access to money, give us something else, some real estate.
I know that you have worked with a lot of, people doing their applications, and so you've seen a lot of entrepreneurs coming through, and you see the mistakes that they've been making, and so that's why I thought that this would be a great conversation, just to kind of go down the list
Oh,
and just
yeah.
get your comments about what you're seeing all these people, the mistakes they're making. So one of the first ones that you had on your list is that a lot of them are underestimating the cost of startup.
Bingo. Bingo, right? That's always an underestimation with all entrepreneurs, no matter what we do, right? We're always underestimating costs. You got to overestimate, especially in cannabis, because there is way too many unknowns. And we're seeing that happen in real time in New York right now. Look at what's happening right now. New York whole market stalled because of the veterans. Veterans came back and said, guys, this is unconstitutional. We cannot have the guys who were negatively impacted by the war on drugs get priority over us, right? Now the veterans come out, right? And the veterans were already included. They were like second. It was like the black and brown, and then the women, and then the veterans, and then the women. So they were like second, but they still said no. And this is what happens because of that. They have that argument is a valid argument in these courts of law, and it has been used in Ohio to stall the whole program for 2 years. And in New York, we're in that same scenario right now. And look at everyone who's there. This is the reason why you have to overestimate your cost, because you could be sitting in limbo for X number of months just in litigation. We already had that in New York already. This is the second time. The first time was last summer. Remember Brooklyn and upstate New York? All of them got frozen because of some other lawsuit that came. They wind up getting that worked out in about 2 months. But that's the reason why your cost estimation really has to be about disaster prevention. You got to more be thinking about that more so than everything else. The other thing that people underestimate is the fact that a lot of your professional services and things that you're going to need to really get this business up and running, you try to not put those things to the front of the line and put them to the back. It's a mistake that most entrepreneurs make. By doing that and hiring people later and trying to stitch it together in the beginning, you wind up costing yourself so much more money for the professional to come in and unravel what you did. And especially in cannabis, because we have to be regulated and compliant. So now if you make one little stupid mistake and you're not the professional, the HR professional, the payroll professional, and you're sitting there trying to do your freaking payroll, and you make one mistake, and the Cannabis Commission comes and finds that, you are now in for a $10,000, $20,000 fine. So it's not a game, and the reason why that those costs need to be there so that you not only get in business but stay in business.
Right. And how about underestimating timelines? I guess it kind of goes really with the cost of not, yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of me speaking to it again with these stalls and everything else. There's so many things in the line. You are waiting for municipalities. When we're dealing with cannabis, we're waiting for the cities, the municipalities. And guys, anyone who's dealt with municipalities and cities know what we're talking about. Anyone who hasn't, you have no idea. But they move like snails, and there's nothing you can do. There's a council, there's this, there's that. They all have to meet. They all got to do this. And someone's on vacation. We can't do it yet. This is what you have to go through. And meanwhile, you're paying rent every single month while the council's members on vacation, and they can't do it because this council member went on vacation. Hell, we can't make a vote today because of XYZ. All those cannabis entrepreneurs are still sitting there saying, oh my gosh, now we got to wait another month, another check, another $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 out to the door because they couldn't make the decision this month. That is the reason why you must put those timelines. You got to double them. I tell everybody, double your budget and double your timeline. Look down whatever you think and double it.
Bureaucracy? Come on. What do we,
Yes.
And what about chasing paperwork?
Yes, chasing paperwork has been such a big thing in New Jersey, right? Everybody is so gung-ho. Everybody was yelling, yay, I got my conditional. Yay, I got this. Yay. They all were thinking that the investors were going to be pouring in and say, oh, wow, you got this conditional license. You have a cannabis license. No, that's not a cannabis license. That's a conditional license, just saying that you just did a minimal amount of freaking paperwork. That does not show you know how to operate a business. That does not prove that you're going to get a municipality approval, which is the bread and butter of all things in cannabis. Unless that municipality tells you can operate in that town, town, you got nothing. Unless you got a building that is in the zone that town told you can operate in, you got nothing. So with that being said, chasing the paperwork, everybody was going around doing all the paperwork to show off to the investors. They realized that was a dead end, and investors were saying, that's not enough for us. You got to get to the next step and the next step, and then show us that this is guaranteed. The municipality got to guarantee, got to have this building in place. So that's why now it's about operations. Everybody was still focused so heavily on paperwork. I'm like, guys, you're not spending enough time thinking about operations, the real business side of this thing. This is a very complicated business. You're a first-time business owner. Not only you're a first-time business owner, but you're in a super complicated business. You really should be focusing this pre-time that you have in the waiting period, because everyone's waiting for the council, waiting for approval, waiting for this. No one knows what to do while they're waiting, but all the entrepreneurs should be working on operations right now, getting a head start right now while you're waiting. This is the perfect time, because once you start operating, it's too late. It's only 24 hours in a day, right? So right now, that's what everybody should be doing instead of chasing that paperwork. Get on studying real operational stuff to get yourself going.
Oh, good. Yeah. If we have enough time, I want to dive into those bullet points too that you're talking about. And once you have a license. Okay. So how about, team sports, like knowing when to get help? Are you seeing a lot of people trying to tough it out?
Yes, way too many, Pam, trying to tough it out by themselves and not playing, using this as, this is a team sport all the way. Cannabis is. It's impossible for you to do this by yourself. You got to have 20, 18 employees. You got to have all this stuff, moving parts and components. You need some partners. You need some people with expertise in certain categories that are going to make it effective for you. So that's one of the biggest mistakes I've seen a lot of the entrepreneurs taking in both New York and New Jersey, trying to go on their own and realizing that they've took on a bit too much for their own plates, and that they would have been better off partnering with someone, not just from a perspective of work, but also finance, connections. All of these things are important in cannabis. So the more people you have on your team, the more of those things that you potentially have to cross all the T's and dot all the I's.
Mm. So what about, I always find this interesting because I really don't have that much experience in it, but a weak pitch deck and deal structure.
Yeah, okay. That is right. The deal structure. Yeah. A weak pitch deck is one of the biggest things. And I had Dr. Dave, well, we were talking about that doing a webinar earlier this week about weak pitch decks and what you have to do. That is one of the biggest problems that we saw in entrepreneurs, again, in New Jersey. Guys would come and show me their pitch deck, and I would say, no wonder you're not. They was, oh, I can't raise the money. I'm having a hard time. Nobody wants to invest. You'll hear everyone saying that right now. It's not that everyone does not want to invest and nobody has the money. It's the way that it's being presented. This, again, is a highly complicated business. Right? And you're going to go to your rich uncle and try to explain this complicated business and make him comfortable enough to give you $1 million. You got to really put some time, effort, and energy into being able to pitch Uncle, Mr. Rich Uncle, on every little aspect of that business. And that's the part that these entrepreneurs are not doing. They're getting the surface level amount of information, not enough to really pitch and fully educate their investors. Because we're in cannabis, we're at a disadvantage in pitching. We have to pitch and educate at the same time because we're dealing with something completely new. It's not like a run-of-the-mill other type of startup where the investor says, yeah, I'm in finance, I'm in energy, I'm familiar with these types of deals. Yeah, these guys, this is cannabis. It's all brand new for everybody. It's all over the place. So you got to do some really high-level explanations, and that's the reason why people aren't getting the money. The pitch decks are weak. They don't know how to put them together, and the deal structure was weak. How you structure your deal. A lot of these entrepreneurs are coming in and they're first-time entrepreneurs. It's a plague from first-time entrepreneurs. They've heard horror stories of people taking over their companies. And now most small entrepreneurs come in with the mindset, I don't want to give up any of my company. They're going to take over my company. And I'm like, guys, this is a team sport. If you don't give up some of that company, if you don't give up some of that equity, you better have all the money in your bank account. If you don't have all the money in your bank account, you better be prepared to give up some of that equity out of your company because that's all you have to pay. You don't have money, cash to entice this guy and that guy to do this for you. All you have is what the potential of your business is. And that's actually a pretty good deal because it's not guaranteed you're going to succeed. So the person who even taking that equity, it's not real money. It's monopoly money. You got to make it real. So they're believing in you to give it to you, even when it's that level. So yeah, we pitch that bad deal structure. You got to put those deals together properly. Do not be greedy, guys, and understand you got to make it advantageous for both sides. You're not trying to go into hardcore negotiations and and try to beat your opponent to a pulp. That is not how you do good business, ladies and gentlemen. The good negotiators make everyone come out of that negotiation room feeling like we are all winners. Everyone has been overcompensated. We all are happy. That's the way you make great business partners and great business deals that continue to go.
That's right. And don't hoard your marbles and keep it all to yourself. Not even if you're looking for money and investors, but if you need just some people to work hard for you and, give it 200%, give a piece of the pie to someone who's worth it, and bring in those partners, and, there's enough to
Absolutely.
go around of some of these businesses, so.
It really is. And that's one of the things I've done in all my businesses. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and that was one of the things that I learned very early on. I did not like micromanaging employees. And micromanaging employees is something that you have to do sometimes if you don't have some of the other things in place that make them feel part of the game. Once I implemented and said, you know what? I'm going to make it so that all my employees are owners. Now, I want you to think like me. I want you to not just do what I tell you to do. I want you to think about other things that are wrong with the company and come to me and say, yo, Gary, I was thinking about this weekend, man. We can make more money if we do this. Why? Because now you got skin in the game. And now when the company makes more money, you make more money. When we make less money, you make less money. When you do it that way, you get the best out of the people that you are affiliated with, and everyone's working towards a common goal. That's the way I structure all of my companies, the way I encourage everyone to structure all of yours as well.
I wholeheartedly agree. I'm an advocate of that. And it builds good company culture. It creates company culture that's not toxic because everybody has skin in the game. It's just makes complete sense.
It does. It does.
So would you recommend then, I guess, somebody obviously hire a professional to do their pitch deck, but structuring their deal, like, again, you hear people saying there's a lot of sharks in the industry and a lot of people are, I don't know if that's true. I haven't tried to go out for money, but it sounds like there's some people trying to take advantage, and I've heard it from a number of people. So would you just recommend they seek a broker of some sort, and I guess someone specializing in cannabis?
Yeah, you really want to see someone who specializes in cannabis, you can come to me, guys. Actually, just go to realcannaconsulting.com, realcannaconsulting.com. I have all the formulas, deal structures, pitch decks, everything else that you may need to do this thing and understand the differences between how you raise the capital and how you can legally take the capital. That's also another part of the process that many people weren't prepared for. They went out and pitched, and then they got someone to say yes, and then they were like, well, where do I send the money? How do I send the money? Where's the agreement with it? And they didn't have all of that stuff set up. That is a complete burner and a way to destroy an investor. So you have to have those things in place that you can legally accept the funds. You have to have them fill out some paperwork, your investors and stuff like that, to cover yourself, cover them. And those kinds of things. That's just something that is super important in making these things successful.
Okay, so your consultancy business is bigger than your conference.
Yes. And the consulting came out of a pure necessity. I never intended to do it. It was just people calling me, asking me for help over and over and over again. And I didn't have enough time to help. And I finally say, all right, guys, I got to help you. I can't just let everybody go sit and waver and fall by the wayside. Otherwise, we're just going to let all the big MSOs take all of these slots, and everyone's going to get price fixed. So it's going to be a jacked up market. And that was when I really had to stop a little bit, adjust some of my focus to helping some of our other entrepreneurs get in place.
Yeah, and as an entrepreneur, most people who want to be entrepreneurs, I feel like, are always stopped at the gate of, how do I do that? They're always fearful of, well, I don't know how to do that. So you are good access to, you've already did the applications, you know what to go for, and you know how to position it. So many people are afraid of those steps, but you're an entrepreneur, so you're not. So
yeah, and the thing we had.
Yeah, it's easy for you just to go in there and start tearing it apart and pulling it apart and attacking it.
Absolutely. And because I forced myself to do my son's application because he wanted to go through, and I knew I needed to learn it because I teach this to everybody else. So I wanted to see it firsthand. Once I did it and went through everything, I knew everything inside and out. I was like, okay, this is good. Let me share this information with others. So that's why I started to do the consulting as well, because not only did I do it, but I did it at a fraction of the cost, of course, because I know so much of the processes and I have so much of the paperwork and I got so many friends who give me all of these different things that I got. So I used all of those things that they gave me to benefit everybody else in the line and say, guys, if you want to get through, you don't have to spend $100,000, $150,000. I got a way to get you through for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, because I'm going to show you all the shortcuts. We're going to do this, blah, 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 blah. And that's how I started the consulting, just as a necessity to get more of my people who didn't have the $100,000 and $150,000 to go through the whole conditional process that could get through it another way. So that's what we're doing.
And New York and New Jersey wasn't doing anything special like this to herd people through who really needed that help, and you are, and I think that's really amazing.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
yeah, no, really. So what about municipality selection? I'm sure there's a strategy for getting in their door under and their
Oh
radar.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's the big one. That's one of the big things that I coach people through in my consulting with when we go through the consulting process is municipality selection. It's one of your it's one of your most important decisions because this is the place that's going to make or break you. You got to have some type of faith, some type of connection, some type of something that is going to give you an edge over some other applicant in that same municipality. So, municipality selection, you have to weigh what things you have, what things do you have any family members that might be in government? Do you have any this that might be? Were you into politics? Did you have any influence? Did you donate to the PBA or whatever it may be? You have to find all those different things. Municipality is all about selecting the right one because if you don't, you're just going to get shot down. And you don't know who you're competing against in these municipalities either. That's what's crazy about it. You have no idea who you're competing against. You could be competing against the guy down the street who has been a family-owned business, been in that same town for 60 years, and he goes to flip for a cannabis license. You come in brand new. You're not even from that town. Who you think they're picking? You know, right? Who you think they're picking? Yeah. So these are the things that you have to use strategy, not just going in blindly, but now you have to think about all these different scenarios and say, do we have a strong case? Do we have a strong enough case to win it in this town? Or we do have enough influence in this town? That's a lot of why I spend a lot of my time consulting and guiding my clients through the landmine of municipality selection.
And then once you kind of figure it out, do you recommend they go in and I mean, is it going to be too obvious, like someone from another town joining their community board, or is that how you kind of
All
is that how you recommend wiggling in there?
Oh yeah, we do a ton of that. Everybody does. All the
Okay.
MSLs, finding a local partner, we call them local partners, local partners, local partners. Right? That's a key word in cannabis. Local partners. Got to find a local partner. Everybody, all the MSOs have local partners. They all have some individual who lives there, who's a Joe Schmo, who's getting 5% just for being a Joe Schmo, and he lives there. And he's got residency. Right? That's how it works in cannabis, right? So yeah, so everyone is there, and you go find a local guy who might have some chops to help you get XYZ. Now, if that individual doesn't have as much chops as the person you're competing against, then it's a moot point anyway. So then it's all this that you don't find out until you get in that actual rat race and you've already dumped 50,000, 40,000, 20,000, secured a building, pay the 5,000, 10,000 application fee. By the way, New Jersey application fees, these municipalities got smarter and smarter and greedier and greedier. And they went from when they first started, they were about $1,000. And then they went to 3, then they went to 5, then they went to 10, then they went to 12. And the latest one I've seen, the highest one I have seen, $27,000 plus a $5,000 escrow. I said, what? $27,000 plus $5,000 in escrow. I read the fine print. I said, what's this escrow for? This escrow fee.
What's
This
the
escrow fee is for so we can properly transfer your money. I'm like, I could go drop my $5,000 off myself. I mean, these towns are getting really creative. I will say.
They're like, oh my, and that you would lose that.
You lose it. Yeah, that's just all of these are roll of the dice. This is your application fee. The application fee is just one portion of the risk, the financial risk you take. You have to go secure a building, a commercial building. You need site control. Site control requires you now to go to these landlords and get a 10-year lease, set this up, and set it up in a way that they're going to give you a reasonable rent to make it last through this whole process. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. It is a lot.
Yeah. And what can you recommend, or what advice can you give about negotiating your real estate?
Oh yeah, a lot of that. I've done so much of that negotiating real estate, running around. Make friends with your landlords, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you that's the number one way to get everything done, like all business, period. When people like you, they do things for you. That was the way that I was able to get highly effective at securing properties very quickly because I was super proactive. And anytime a landlord told me, hey, Gary, you know what? Why don't you come up tomorrow and see me tomorrow? No. What are you doing right now? What is about dinner? Let me take you to dinner right now. Let me go here right now. I was always just going and seeing them immediately so that I could establish that I'm not the Joe Schmo that calls. There's a million Joe Schmoes that call that landlord all day. You got to show them that you're different. How way can you show them that you're different? And that's one of the ways of me saying, immediately, what? No, forget tomorrow. Tonight, let's go. Let's go to dinner. Let's go to lunch. Let's get a coffee. Well, you got 5 minutes? I'll be there. Whatever. Drop whatever you're doing and go to those landlords, negotiate those deals. So you got to show them that. And the second thing is you got to show them you're knowledgeable, and you got to show the landlord that you are, you have to convince the landlord. That was the thing that I also did not realize about this whole process. I thought it was going to be about, landlords. I just thought it was going to be about the money thing, paying them the money. But I realized it wasn't. Landlords also have to like you. They pick who they want. Right. And now you got 20, 40, 50 people all of a sudden calling this one guy for this building. He can pick and cherry pick who he wants. And who's he going to pick? The guy that he thinks has the highest probability of winning the license. Because remember, no one's guaranteed. He could rent you this building for now and you lose the license and then he got to rent to someone else. So all the landlords are concerned with is how probable are you in winning? That's what they want to know to pick their applicant. How strong is yours? Or you got a high probability of winning, then I want to ride with you. So you got to convince that landlord that I'm thorough. I'm going to win, Mr. Landlord, and I know what I'm doing. You got all those stuff. There's a lot of convincing in cannabis. You got to convince investors. You got to convince the landlords. You got to convince the municipalities. You got to convince the mayor. You got to convince the chief of police. I mean, it's all of this.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. How about tech stack research and preparation?
Oh, yeah. Tech. Now, that is another thing that all of the entrepreneurs have been putting to the wayside. I'm just going to tell you guys right now, you're in for a rude awakening. And I will just tell you all, just look at the historical data. Both dispensaries in New York opened up without their POS systems up and running. Both of them opened. They had their menu on a piece of paper, y'all. A piece of paper. Yes, because their tech stack was not in line. And they didn't even have the POS in place so that people could get it right there. That again, these are the big expenses that I'm telling you about. That the accountant's going to have to go back and fix. That compliance is going to go back. They got to get it in a metric system. It's got to match up with metric. So all these different things that you need to have in the beginning. So I was just so surprised when I hadn't gone to their grand openings, but I had many friends who went, and I asked them about it, and they all told me. I said, "How was their menu?" So it was on paper. So what? I laughed. I said, "You got to be kidding me." I mean, POS is a point of sale system. I always say POS. Let me stop abbreviate. Point of sale system. It's a system that you use to check everybody out and everything. It's the most important thing in a retail store. It should be one of the first things that you research and put into place in a retail store. It runs everything in your store. How you not going? And we're in regulated freaking cannabis. Wow. Not only are our transactions got to be accounted for in my POS, it has to be passed to the state-based metric system and match up perfectly, or I'm going to get another $15,000, $20,000 fine. So anyone not playing, anyone that's out there really playing games with the tech stack and not getting things together, you're really playing with fire. Another thing I will tell people is about redundancy and destruction. I'm a tech head and I'm a guy who's dealt with servers and done all this stuff forever. Redundancy is key. You better have those redundant servers. You better have backups. You better have cloud backups. You better have on-site backups everywhere. We have to have cameras cover every single inch of every facility 24/7. Do you know how much footage that is? That's HD quality footage they want us to keep. And you know what, Pam, they told us we have to keep it for 30 days or 60 days. 60 days, 32 cameras, 24 hours of HD footage. That's a big file. That file's probably like 400 gig, 300 gigabytes. And I got 30 cameras. And I got to keep them for 60 days. Did you see the math here? How much data? So I know so many people are floundering and doing some stuff and they're not really keeping, but you know what's going to come back to bite them? One of those cameras goes down. Anything goes down with that camera, the Cannabis Commission comes and they say, "Where's your fail log?" That's a tech talk for you're supposed to have your servers and everything else was supposed to tell us why that camera went down, how long it was down, what happened when it was down, and how quickly it got back up. If you don't have those,
what are you hiding?
Yeah, yep, yes. And what did you guys try to take out the back door?
Yeah, what did you guys try to take out the back door? Or what did you bring in the back door?
Right. Or what did you bring in the back door? So now you got to go through all of this to explain. But if camera footage went out and you didn't have any backups, you didn't have anything to that, you're getting big fines, man. So this is not a game, ladies and gentlemen. You got to have your tax stack.
That's such a good point,
organized.
because you know what? The inspector showing up to look for those fines have to walk away with a fine, and they don't care. They need to walk away with a fine. They have to meet a quota. It's like,
Yep.
traffic cops, and I've dealt with health department inspections before. They don't care. They'll just, you're a small business, oh, $50,000 fine. That does mean nothing to them. So
Exactly.
yeah, so
Especially
you're right.
cannabis. Especially cannabis. They always look at cannabis as like we got a bazillion, gazillion dollars to do everything. They don't understand it, that most of the cannabis professionals are struggling and fledgling and getting it. But they think everyone has a bazillion dollars. So they're quick to say, hey, whatever, man, pay it.
Yeah,
Whatever. Yeah.
yeah.
You
Oh,
got the money. Yep.
yeah. Oh, I know. And the tech stack in cannabis is still being built because it's so customized to our industry.
And it's costly, and the fact that a lot of your core business data, I mean, as well, that has to be maintained, and the people don't value that. I value that more than anything. It's my core business data needs to be backed up. All of my transactional data, all of my other data, everything I need to have. Not only I'm always I do manual backups of my own stuff. I have server backups. I got automated backups. I don't play with backups, and I encourage all you guys to do the same, because the day you lose something is the day when you will say, I will never get caught like this again. And it's a worst feeling. So back up everything. It's a small price to keep your sanity and keep your business running safely.
Yeah, good advice. So how about now we'll jump to once you have your license and you're
Right.
waiting to get opened, there's a few things that you really think are really important, like a hiring plan.
Yes.
Or
If that
hiring.
That was also one of the things I was saying, Pam, that people are sitting by the wayside, just did all the paperwork now and they don't know what to do and they're waiting for the council, they're waiting for this, they're waiting for that, and they're not doing anything. They should be working on that hiring plan. That hiring plan is such a major importance in terms of success of a retail operation. Attracting employees, number one, is one of the most crucial things in cannabis, because why? Cannabis, ladies and gentlemen, has the largest turnover rate of all industries. Can you believe that? Employee turnover. We have the highest out of any industry, guys. Anyone. I'm just going to tell you, me being a serial entrepreneur, employee turnover is the biggest word we hate, man. It's cost us so much money. We all didn't realize it until you sat down and someone made you calculate how much time and energy you put into training that employee and how much time and energy went into training the new employee and spending up and get him a new email and get him a new this and all. It is so much money for every employee that turns over. And that's something that we battle against as entrepreneurs all the time. We work on employee retention. That's what you see all these big corporations, right? Giving you health benefits and gym memberships. And now they're giving people subscriptions now for psychedelics and other stuff, right? They say, man, we'll give you whatever to keep you. You need to be working on employee retention, because otherwise, and payroll and getting all this stuff together, you're not going to be able to attract that type of talent that you're going to need to run that business. So hiring plan, HR, payroll, all that right now, you guys need to be doing it. And I'm just going to tell you, come to the conference. I got the best person for it who does it all right there. You'll see him right there. RealCannabisEntrepreneur.com, October 5th and 6th, Newark, New Jersey. Come to the conference, 1,000 plus speakers, but they'll be there and all have that good info for you.
Yeah, so at the conference, you're going to run down it's basically really to teach the basic skills of opening a business, right? Those are the points that you really hit in the focus of the conference.
Oh yeah, we cover everything. This conference we call it this is going to be like a crash college course, academic 2-year, 4-year BA. You're going to get it all in 2 days. And people have told me this walking out of the conference. They say, Gary, you know what? I learned more at the conference than I did at these accredited university courses that I took and cost me thousands of dollars, because I make sure that all of my speakers are coming to give you very pointed information. We discuss exactly what we're going to deliver. I discuss with them and we decide what most important things need to be delivered to you. So it's very much a Cliff Notes summarize most important things that you need to know right now that does deal with cannabis. And cannabis changes 24/7. Like we say, one day in cannabis is 7 to 10 days in any other regular industry. So it changes. Having that was the reason why I wanted to do the conference. Having the people that have done it already, and they're the ones who know it in real time. This stuff changes all the time. So I got it every year. The stuff they said last year, half of it's outdated already. I got to get them to come back and say new things about this, because everything's changing. So it's really important. Yes, employee retention and making sure you got everybody on deck.
Yeah, well, I mean, actually, why don't we wind it down? Because there was only a couple more questions, but we should wind it down with talking about the show. I really want to like,
Okay, yes,
oh
yes,
yeah,
yes.
let's focus on the show for a second before we call it quits. So so I love that it's a whatever you said, like a condensed kind of
Yeah,
estimate,
it's
but
like it's more like I would equate it more like a TED Talk type of flow. Like all of my speakers are coming up in there rapid fire, right? You guys see how I talk, like nice and fast. We're Jersey, we got to talk fast, right? So I get all my speakers to do the same thing. Hurry up, because I want them to plow it in there. I'm saying, guys, don't slow it down, speed it up, let everybody keep up with you. It's recorded. They want to go back, they can rewind if they want. They get the recordings, but guys, speed. Let's give everybody as much as we can in the allotted time, and that is the reason why when my guys come, they don't play around. They're giving you like the most important stuff, and most of the things that they're giving you are things that you cannot find in any book, you cannot find in any magazine. It's ungoogleable, right? I like that word, ungoogleable. You can't find it, right? It is only the people who actually do it have this insider information. And that's the information that I have them come and deliver on stage to my audience to see from real operators who are doing this every single day. Just did it yesterday, coming from it right now, showing you what's changing, what's different, how they're doing it, what they had to adjust, how they made it better. All those different variations are the things that are most important in growing a business. That's what I make our speakers focus on. That's the reason why we produce more successful entrepreneurs who really understand what this game really means.
is it even? I mean, I know it's mostly for education, but what happens at your show as far as vendors finding, dispensaries and
Oh
extract,
yeah.
business, the business side of your show, I should say. Let me condense this.
Oh yeah, yeah. The business side. I mean, that's the most important side. And well, let me go back and just explain a little bit about how this conference came to be and why it is the format of what it is and why the name is what it is, even
Okay.
actually. But
Yeah.
back in 2017, my son came to me and said, "Dad, you know what? I think they're going to legalize cannabis in New Jersey." And I said, "No way, they're not doing that. Yeah, there's no way. They love locking us up too much. They're not going to do it, son." And I was the protagonist. He kept saying, "No, Dad, I'm telling you, they're going to do it. They're going to do it." Then it started progressing, and I started. So I said, "Oh wow, they really might legalize in Jersey." I just never could believe it because they harassed us over weed for so many years. I got so many charges for stupid little weed charges in New Jersey that I just figured that New Jersey was going to be the last one because they just love messing with us about it, right? So I was like, all right. It came to fruition. I started paying attention to it. Okay, cannabis is coming. So at that time, I owned a 27-year-old digital marketing agency. I was filling events for the big motivational speakers, authors, and coaches all across the U.S. and stuff like that. My wife, she was doing all the experiential party stuff for them, doing the ice sculptures, the waterfalls, the chocolate this, and all the crazy stuff, right? We would do all the big dog stuff and have it real fly. So after we did that, we had fun. We went and started looking for cannabis conferences to what we were used to. I'm also a marketer and I speak from the stage. I speak at a lot of the big marketing conferences all over the US. I was also used to a certain type of flow, people telling me, "Hey, this is how you do it, this is how you do it, da 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 da." I was going to the cannabis conferences and then it was more like, "Hey, here's my dog and this is how much money I made and blah blah blah." And no one was really talking about, "Hey, this is what I do. First you do this, then you do this, then you do this." And that was when the light bulb went off when I kept going to those conferences, my wife and I, and we kept saying, "Man, we're never going to find what we're looking for. There's just everyone's just talking this surface level crap." And I don't, we're business people, 27 years. We got to get right to it. So
Yeah.
eventually, yeah, eventually I just said, forget it. We're not going to find it. My marketer light bulb brain went off and said, "Hey, you got a problem." That's what all us marketers do. Whenever we got a problem, we say, "Problems equal money. Problems equal money. I got a problem. Hey, I should solve my own problem and make some money at the same time." That's the win-win. So that's precisely what we did, ladies and gentlemen. I went and created the conference that I was looking for forever that I never could find. It's called the Real Cannabis Entrepreneur Conference. It was the exact one that I wanted to find where I can get the people to come in and not bull crap me and just jump right into it. Give me the 1, 2, 3 of how you did it. Bang, bang, bang. As many of real people that are doing it, not professor talk, not people learning out of a book, but people that are doing it every single day that are going to have information that nobody has. That's what Real Cannabis Entrepreneur is. Came to fruition, started 2018. We only had, we started 2018, 2019, and we had 500 attendees. First one, we sold it out. People came as far as Zimbabwe. Second year, pandemic. We were 2 years, not even 2 months, not even 60 days from pandemic. We didn't know at the time. We had our first big show, 2019, packed the house, sold out. 30 days later, the whole world shuts down, right?
Wow.
The whole world shuts down. I mean, we were like, what? I mean, we did ours in November and, pandemic came in December, right? It was.
Yeah.
So anyway, Well, from there, we decided I really didn't want to do virtuals and all that because I didn't like it so much and I wanted to do live. And then New Jersey was coming around to go legal. We were going through the ballot. We were going to make the vote on the ballot to determine if we were going to get legalization in Jersey. And that was when the light bulb went off and I said, oh my gosh, guys, we're still in pandemic. That's when I kept thinking, no, this is going to be like the bird flu or something and blow over. We'll be able to do our conference again. And next, then by the time we kept going further and further, I said, this is not leaving. This is not going anywhere. Yeah. What are we going to do now? And finally, I decided to do a virtual conference. When I did that virtual conference, that's the banner you see behind me. That was the one in 2020 or 2021. We did that. We piped it out and it went gangbusters. It was a blessing in disguise. We doubled our numbers. We did over 1,000 people at the virtual conferences. We did people from 18 different countries. People attended from all over the place. It was the best thing ever. We did those so much that people said, Gary, you got to do them over and over again. We started doing 2 a year of those until we came out of pandemic and went back live. So that's the story of Real Cannabis Entrepreneur, ladies and gentlemen. And that's where we're at here to teach real cannabis entrepreneurs how to do this thing. And that's what we do at realcannabisentrepreneur.com. Come to the conference October 5th and 6th. This is where you're going to learn it from the real people. And we got real operators. All of our people that are in the audience, these are all the people that learn from us. Everyone's getting a license right now in New Jersey, has been to our conference, been trained by us, been to one of our things. They all know me personally, know my wife personally. They're all our friends. They're not like, it's not a business. We're not a corporation. We're a family. We're a business. So everyone, we know each other, right? So that's why when you come to our conference, it's very different because we got the culture. We're not these corporations try to run these conferences and they don't have a real face. We're real people born and raised New Jersey, and everyone knows us. So everyone's in the building, the real people who will operate, the real people, all the vendors. And that's why my sponsors get 300 to 400% return every single show. And they'll all tell you that. I got them on camera. You can go to our testimonials page and you can see plenty of them saying how they outsell the biggest shows, the biggest trade shows that they've been through in cannabis, where they got 10,000, 20,000 people. Our show at Real Cannabis Entrepreneur with 1,000 people will outsell it every time. It's because of targeting and because I'm a marketer. Yep, it's because I'm a marketer.
Excellent. Oh my God. This is a great way to end it. That speech there is the end.
Yeah, all right. Yes.
God, that was good. That was really good.